Hey, welcome back to the Blazor Puzzle. It's episode 65. I'm Carl Franklin from AppVNext, and that's my friend Jeff Fritz from Microsoft. Hey, Jeff.
How do? Great to see you. It's nighttime.
Yeah, you're not where you usually are, right?
No. I'm in Stockholm for an event, the Svitog event. Got to meet some of our Swedish friends. Great time talking about Blazor, .NET Aspire, GitHub. Really good stuff here.
Our friend Yimmy and his wife Jessica, who put on the event, Yimmy is a Blazor fanatic and a really smart guy. They're both incredibly smart people.
He won one of the Blazor puzzles last year.
That's right. It was the most difficult one, too.
The most difficult.
Yeah.
Until today.
Right. Okay, well, if you've been paying attention, you know that this is the new format for 2025 and beyond, where we're not going to spend a week ruminating about the solution to a puzzle. We're going to give you the puzzle, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to give you the solution. So let's get right into it. Roll the music.
Here we go.
Okay, so this is a standard Blazor web app, .NET 9, global server interactivity. But I brought up main layout. There's nothing really on the home page. But main layout is where I've introduced a bug. And this isn't a bug that you would typically have because you're probably a lot better programmer than this, and you'd use a try catch and all that stuff. But, you know, in main layout, you have this UI for handling unhandled errors, right? And that's how Blazor does it. When there's an unhandled exception, this UI shows up. But we're going to test the theory. We're going to introduce this bug to present a challenge. And again, this isn't a real world scenario, but it is a challenge. This exception will not be caught by the UI error handler. This is OnInitialized in main layout, right?
But there's your error right there, Carl. You're dividing by 0. Don't do that.
Of course. Yeah, of course. So the answer is not to just comment this out. It's there for a reason. I want you to try to, without using a try catch or rewriting, how can you gracefully handle this error and tell the user that there was an error? This is what you get when you run the app. So I don't want to break when this exception type is unhandled. So I'm going to turn this off and run it again. And here's what happens. An unhandled exception occurred while processing the request. Divide by 0.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay. So let's say, you know, the real world scenario is you have some stuff in OnInitialized here that you want to do in your app.
Sure.
And without having to use a try catch, how can you provide UI, you know, like this, that catches the error and shows you a graceful message?
I know the answer to this.
All right.
DevExpress has an error page component that you need to install.
Okay.
It's a very valuable piece of code
without installing any third-party tools, right? There is
it's
a
not
solution.
A third party. It's DevExpress. We're all partying together with them.
All right. Well said.
All right. What do we got?
So there is an answer, and we'll be right back with the solution. But again, if you want to try it yourself, pause or stop watching now, come back later and watch the rest of it. Here we go. We'll be right back. The answer is in routes.
Oh, tell me more. What did you do in routes?
I did this.
Yes. That
okay.
was...
I wrapped the entire router in the child content of an error boundary. And in the error content, this is where I have my message. Oops, we ran into a little trouble. Of course, this can be any kind of markup that you want. So an error boundary, we've talked about before, is kind of like a try-catch, but for components.
It's declarative.
It's
User
declarative.
interface component. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this solution was to a different problem that a customer of mine had, but doing a code review recently, I noticed they had an error boundary around the router. And I said, wow, I never thought of doing that. That's sort of like your global error handler. And the reason was that they wanted to, they had their own error component that did logging and, and all of that stuff and provided UI. And they just displayed it right here. So first of all, let me run this and we'll see what happens. So there you go.
Hey. And I've used ErrorBoundary in a couple other places where I do things like a quick grid and I want to be able to handle scenarios where the data doesn't behave properly. And it kind of makes sense to just kind of wrap that grid. But this is an interesting take to create, like you were describing, as a global error handler.
Right. Now, ErrorBoundary is very powerful, and you can provide the context and the exception and all of that stuff into the error content. But we're going to just give you a link to the ErrorBoundary documentation so you can look that up and get more information for yourself. And just so you know, it's not enough to put an ErrorBoundary here around the body. To take all of this and put an ErrorBoundary around it, it isn't going to work. You have to go
the OnInitialized.
outside. Yeah, you have to go outside to the router, because that is where your main layout is. When you route to a page, this is where the main layout gets created, and the main layout ain't going to get created with a bug like that.
Right. The OnInitialized fires before any of those components start to be rendered.
Right. So there it is, Jeff. Now you hadn't seen this because you've been busy in Stockholm. You hadn't seen this puzzle, right?
Yeah. I was going to say put the error boundary around the entire page, but it makes sense that it doesn't catch the OnInitialized.
Right. Yeah. Tricky. So I hope you got it. And, if you did get it, you didn't get it, you have another thought, please send us some email, blazorpuzzle@appvnext.com. If you have any other puzzle suggestions and we use it, we'll send you a mug and a t-shirt, because, we have a lot of them laying around.
There's a box in Carl's garage full of them.
All right, that's it. Have fun in Stockholm, Jeff, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, friends.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out blazortrain.com and the .NETshow.com for more great content.